Welcome back to This Week 100 Years Ago. This week, we're looking at events that took place between Monday, January 26th, and Sunday, February 1st, 1926. During these 7 days, a new technology crossed a quiet but important threshold. For the first time, moving images were transmitted live and shown to others, not on film, but by electrical means. This was the week television entered the world. On Monday, January 26, 1926, in London, a Scottish inventor named John Logie Baird gave a public demonstration of a system he had been developing largely on his own. The demonstration took place at 22 Frith Street in Soho, inside a small makeshift laboratory on the upper floors of the building. Today, an Italian restaurant occupies the site. The only visible reminder of Baird's work is a small blue plaque on the wall. What Baird used was not a lecture hall or a university laboratory. It was a cramped room filled with improvised equipment, rotating discs, exposed wiring, and intense lighting. Baird himself was not a figure of authority within the scientific establishment. He was an independent experimenter, often short of money and frequently in poor health. His formal education had been interrupted, and many of his earlier inventions had failed to attract interest or financial backing. For years, he struggled to convince others that transmitting moving images was even possible. At the time, television was widely regarded as speculative, if not unrealistic. During the demonstration, Baird used a mechanical system based on rotating scanning discs, combined with photoelectric cells, to break an image into lines and convert it into electrical signals. Those signals were sent to a receiver nearby, where the image was reconstructed. The result was crude. The images flickered and lacked detail. Faces appeared as shifting patterns of light and shadow. But they moved, and they were live. For the first time, a human image had been captured, transmitted, and reproduced almost instantly using electrical signals. Those present included members of the Royal Institution and a reporter from the Times. This was not a private trial. It was a deliberate demonstration to show that the principle worked. Reaction was cautious. Some observers were intrigued by the technical achievement. Others were openly skeptical. The image quality was poor. The system required precise mechanical alignment and extremely bright lighting. Many doubted whether it could ever be refined enough for practical use. In the days that followed, discussion of the demonstration began to spread. Within scientific and technical circles, attention focused less on entertainment and more on feasibility. Could the resolution be improved? Could the image be stabilized? Could the mechanical components be made reliable? As the week progressed, newspapers began to report on the demonstration. Coverage in publications such as the Times of London was restrained and factual. There were no grand predictions and no claims that a new medium had been born. Television was described as an interesting experiment, but one with clear limitations and an uncertain future. Some commentators questioned whether there was any real demand for such a technology. Radio already brought news, music, and voices into homes across Britain. Why would people need pictures as well? By the end of the week, as January turned into February, the idea of television had entered public awareness, not as a finished invention, and not as something people expected to own, but as a concept that now existed. This was the week moving images left the laboratory and entered public discussion. At the time, very few people believed television would matter. The technology was fragile, the images were crude, and the potential applications were unclear. Even Baird himself struggled to secure sustained funding in the months that followed. And yet, with hindsight, this week marks a boundary. Before it, live visual transmission was theoretical. After it, it could be physically demonstrated. History often turns not on dramatic breakthroughs, but on moments that quietly prove something can be done. This week, 100 years ago, television did not arrive fully formed, but it arrived. While a new technology was being demonstrated in a small Soho attic, the wider world continued to move in very different directions. On January 26, the same day as Baird's demonstration, Spanish aviator Ramon Franco and his crew completed the next stage of an ambitious long-distance flight from Spain toward South America. Flying a Dornier-Wall seaplane named Plus Ultra, they completed a journey of more than 10,000 kilometers in just under 60 hours. In continental Europe, more than 7 years after the end of the First World War, British and Belgian troops began withdrawing from the German city of Cologne, ending years of foreign occupation in that part of the Rhineland. It marked a symbolic step in Germany's slow return to sovereignty. Across the Atlantic, economic optimism was on full display. On February 1st, 1926, land on Broadway and Wall Street in New York City changed hands at a record price. It was a sign of the booming property market and financial confidence of the Roaring '20s, just a few years before that confidence would be severely tested. Aviation was shrinking distances. Diplomacy was reshaping post-war Europe. Economic optimism was transforming cities. And quietly, almost unnoticed, a new technology was taking its first steps. That's all from This Week 100 Years Ago. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to explore moments like this each week, consider subscribing. A new episode looks back exactly 100 years every Monday morning.